I wish I could take the colors of a rainbow and place them into your heart, so you would remember what beautiful feels like and know there is hope in the dark.
Despair, loneliness, hopelessness. She felt numb in her life and wanted to end it. Her voice, crying for help, was mum to the world around her. She wants them, all of them, to miss her. Suicide.
My children lost a father, and I lost my husband and a friend to suicide.
About a year ago, my son Philip committed suicide.
I'm a survivor who lost my only son 2 years ago to suicide.
The rates of suicide on Guam has been for the past 10 years, one death every 2 weeks. It's quite alarming.
I can honestly say that every single family in our church and our school knows someone, whether it's in Chuuk, here in Guam, here in the village.
So I personally have never experienced anyone in my life who has committed suicide.
During my sophomore year of high school, my friend committed suicide. I remember waking up thinking that it was just gonna be a regular day, wake up, get ready, go to school, go to my classes, end the day, That's what I was thinking in my head that morning I woke up. And then I get to school and my friends tell me about what happened, what they saw, what they heard. And at first, I didn't want to believe it. I couldn't believe it, knowing that I was super close to this person for years. And after hearing the news, I felt numb. I remember I was sitting in geometry class. I couldn't move. I was shocked. And then I take a look on what his last posts were on Twitter, on social media. It was depressing tweets, or tweets like, no one understands me, how he's alone, how he feels. I even think he tweeted something like, goodbye mother, or something. And I was so hurt that people saw it, but they just ignored it. It really, I wondered, if I was online at this very moment, I felt like I could have messaged him, I could have called him up, I could have been there, for him.
I've been lucky not to have a first-hand experience with suicide, but I know at least 7 people, know of 7 people that have committed suicide or attempted committing suicide. I remember in high school, there were 2, not my classmates, but there were 2 students that I knew of that did commit suicide. And the whole school was just distraught because you don't understand why they do these things. And you'll never know. You never know.
Compared to the US, Guam has higher suicide rates. But recent studies show as suicide rates are increasing on Guam, adult males are more at risk.
Most of these men consist of Chamorro and Chuukese.
Growing up in a Micronesian family, you don't talk about those things. You do your part in the family, you get the good grades, you be the daughter who helps, you be the son who's a support, but you don't talk about depression. It's okay to have a headache. It's not good to be depressed. It means you're weak. And in the island culture, being weak is such a taboo.
So we want to look at why men. Why are men from ages 20 to 39 committing suicide? And we want to look at the masculinity complex in the islander culture. So, like we've said, Chamorro and Chickees are among the highest that attempt or commit suicide. And we feel that it's because in islander culture, men are held to a different standard than women. They're supposed to be tough. They're supposed to endure any situation. They're not supposed to express emotion the same way that women are allowed to. And as time goes by and as these emotions build up, these problems, these feelings build up and they're not expressing them, then we feel that it's a tipping point. They reach a tipping point, and because they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to express these feelings, how to cope. According to Vince Bernard, a former student of the University of Guam, who was exploring low suicide rates among our Manumku population on Guam, he came to the conclusion that the younger generation, the young ones, the ones that are 20 to 29, that are 30 to 39, is because of cultural erosion. And he goes into context about saying that many of these people, many of these men, especially, there are a population of women that do commit suicide as well. But he says that they're estranged from their cultural roots. As we become more modernized, become more Americanized, we really move away from our culture. And he says that a big barrier is the language barrier, that many Chamorros, they don't know how to speak their language. And there is a hindrance, there's a barrier between the Manumku, teaching them how to persevere, teaching them the values and their history about being strong and enduring and coping, that they're not understanding that. The younger generation isn't understanding that. And that's the reason why many of them are committing suicide today. Mr. Manabusan states that the values and concepts are going away. They're not understanding.
I think one of the root causes why people commit suicide is because there's no support. People who say they're going to be there for you or they're there to listen don't actually do those things. And when people do talk to you or when people do be there for you, sometimes they don't take it as seriously as they should. They'll tell them these advices or things that they want to hear, but not necessarily things that they need to hear.
I made your fall happen because I want you to have a second chance, a second thought on what you are considering. Suffering strikes rich and poor, religious and non-religious, noble and lowly. In this life, virtually everyone will experience it. One day, your burdens and adversities will lighten up and relief will come. Don't suffer in silence. The deceiver is counting on you to isolate. Speak up and let people help you. You have a purpose in this world. Please, don't leave. The light will come and it will be much more beautiful than you could ever dream of because you are a survivor. This darkness doesn't last forever. Depression is fleeting. It will try to convince you that you shouldn't exist and that nothing matters. But instead, it lies. The truth is, you are important. You are loved. You are needed. You are noticed. You have a purpose for being here and a place in this world. It is there, waiting for you.
What we've come to believe and to know is that every person on this island could take some responsibility and prevent suicide.